Good morning and welcome to another Tech Doctor TV. Today we're having a bit of a troubleshoot. I was given a machine by a client which has some curious goings on. One or two different problems, one being some random freezing happening, mainly during gaming. And the other is it's a bit sensitive to movement, and I'll demonstrate and we're going to try and figure out what's going on. Now he built it himself about 3 years ago. Whether there's something there, but 3 years is a long time for a problem to only just surface. So it could be something going on, it could just be Windows, but the one that concerns me is if you bump the machine, the video goes out. And I'll switch over screens because obviously I'll have to power this up first because that's showing OBS, but I couldn't do it until this is done. So first of all, we're going to flick over. I'm sharing monitors here due to a limited space. Let's go to HDMI and that should, okay, there we go, we're powering up. Now presumably you can see that screen because I don't have an output screen at the moment because of the OBS, because I've got this up here on the workbench. So we'll have a look. So it boots up all right. Now I have done a RAM test using MemTest and that came back all good. That went for a couple of hours or so. There's 16 gigabytes of DDR4 in there. That's not to say that's not an issue. I've run MemTest before and then down the track I've run another benchmarking or burn-in test and it's found RAM errors in a different area, so that was quite interesting. So we replaced the RAM on that machine and then happy days. So at the moment we're tentatively ruling out RAM, but I'll see if I can get it to do this video thing. So basically, see that? I just touched it and boom, off it went. Now, the fans have ramped up, but it's not restarting. That's the interesting thing. It just loses its video feed. Now I'm back to my OBS screen. So, what could it be? I don't bloody know. I built myself a nice new gaming machine. I'll show you that while I've got the camera. I built that, where is it? There he is over there. Chair out the way. I built that a couple of weeks ago and the plan was to record it. But wouldn't you know it, halfway through the recording, the batteries went flat in the mic again and I didn't catch it in time. So I was a bit annoyed, so I couldn't do it. But basically it's a 13th gen i5 13600KF with a 32 gig of RAM and a 4060 video card. Now it's got a Gigabyte Aero Creators motherboard. Now I like that one because it had 5 M.2 slots, which is great. The primary one being a Gen 5. Now I've only got a Gen 4 disk in there at the moment, but it also has PCIe 5. The one issue which was a bit annoying was that if you populate the primary drive, it knocks the PCIe channel back to ×8 rather than 16. However, the 4060 only runs at ×8. However, even a 16 speed card in there is not going to suffer. I read some tests and everything. This was using a 4090. Comparing it X16 speed to X8 speed, there was a 1 to 3% difference. Not a huge amount. So for the fact of being able to have I guess because it's a creators board, they're marketing it more creators than gamers. They figure that's a compromise they're willing to make. And I tend to agree because a couple of percent is not a big deal. To get that extra super speed of the Gen 5 PCIe NVMEs when they come in, when they become more mainstream. So overall, I'm really happy. Now to compare it, my previous machine, which is what we're recording on, was an 11th gen i7, 32 gig of RAM and an XT 6600 video card running on an ASRock board. And I did wasn't burn-in test, it was some other benchmark, I can't remember. But anyway, it scored 8,500. And I figured this new one was probably going to be close or a little bit higher, being, I'm going from an i7 to an i5. Came back at 12,500. So that's a massive jump. So these little CPUs, these i5s, these 3600s, they are not to be trifled with. There's 14 cores. I think there's performance and is it economy cores? There's 14 cores in total. So it beats, and it goes up to about 5 gigahertz, without breaking a sweat. And I believe you can overclock these to 6 if you really want to have a tinker. Initially, I wanted to get an i9 because I just wanted one, but I couldn't justify the cost purely because originally I was just buying a new case for my existing PC, and then I went off and bought a whole new bloody machine. So then I decided, well, okay, well, I'll try and do that purchase over a few weeks. No, 2 days. So I ended up with another machine. So I thought, well, an i5 will be great for now, and then I can always move that i5 into my media server, which is currently running a 12th gen i5 12400. So sort of your base i5 if I decide to upgrade that. But as it turns out, I don't know if I will, because that just is fantastic performance. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let's flick back over, see if that screen's come back on. And so it did restart. Okay, well that's interesting. It didn't restart before. So let's just go restart. I'm inclined to think it's some sort of hardware issue, given that you bump it and it does it. Now, it doesn't seem to have an effect. Makes me nervous. So the wheels have stopped spinning. So now it's hung. Right, so I think we're looking at possibly a disassemble to have a look. And it's got some dust in there, but looking at it, I can see that some plastic has been left on where it probably shouldn't have been, like in the video card. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to adjust this camera so you're not looking at the OBS output as well. I'll have to shut this down because this is just hung. And we need to try and figure out what in the blazes is going on. Get off. All right, that'll flick back over in a sec. I want to get back there. Okay, so we'll just move this just so that's just out of shot, because otherwise it's going to be mighty distracting. And I'll see if I can get this secondary camera working at the same time. Just excuse me while I look at this email. Tar, you're welcome. Okay, cool. Where are you? All right. So Unplug-A-Mate. Who put that keyboard there? Now I may have some clients popping in here and there, and if I do, I do. All right, now let's get this over so you can actually see. All right, so there's a bit of dust and whatnot going on in there, but that shouldn't be enough to cause this kind of issue. The instability, I mean, everything feels fairly tight, but I'm just going to take a few bits and bobs out. Start with the video card. This is really going to be a process of elimination, just like try a few different things and see if we get lucky. Not that one. That one. So it's not a particularly old machine. It's a, I didn't actually pay attention to what the CPU was, but I believe it's an i7. This is a 2080 Ti, or Ti? It's a 2080 anyway. Whether it's a Ti, I'm not sure. But it's, these clips are particularly annoying to get down sometimes. There we go. Right, not too bad. Probably should have been taken off. I don't think that is going to cause a huge issue. Now, this doesn't feel particularly warm, so it's certainly not overheating, but regardless, that plastic should be taken off. It's easy to miss because it's so like it doesn't, to the inexperienced builder, it doesn't jump out and say, hey, I've got plastic all over me. So I have seen it quite a lot. And I'm going to check under that water block as well, because I've also seen where the plastic on there has been left on, which is not great. Excuse me if you heard that burp. It's nearly lunchtime and I'm hungry. I'll get to cleaning that a bit after. Looking for that. I'm in a little bit of a mess at the moment because I've had a few things going on, a few awkward jobs, as we do. All right, pop him down there. That light's on, isn't it? Yeah, let's check out this RAM configuration. Where's my torch is nearly flat. But I should have enough. So that seems, I'll socket 1151. Right, so this is probably going to be something like a 3 years old, 13th, 9th or 10th gen, I reckon, at a guess. But we will get there. It's one of those things you sort of look at and you think, where do I begin? Now it's DDR4 RAM. Do I have any spare RAM? Everything's in the bloody way. Like this radiator, it's put in a really bad spot. I think that really should be at the front of the case, in all honesty. Let's take the lid off. So I'm going to take the water cooler out. Where are the screws? It's not fully screwed in. Again, not a massive thing. It's only missing one screw, so it's not a huge deal. But good one. All right, stop panicking. I found it. Washer fell off. Black washer, black carpet. Can't see anything going on here. So for those playing at home, it's September 13, 2023. Nice spring day here in Townsville in North Queensland. But with this door shut in the office, I suspect the aircon will be going on sooner rather than later. Because it gets warm in here. Now, is that all of them? Is this one more? No, I feel like there's another one. Oh, there he is. Right. So we'll grab him. Where are these fans going? How's he got it in there? All right. This is painful. Painful, I tells you. I have to stand her up. Just give me a second. I have to take the back end off so I can get to these fans and unclip them. Wasn't really what I was anticipating, but it is what it is. Get in. Just hold that there. With the chestal region. Sure, that's a bit of a rat's nest. Don't know if you can really see on that angle, but he's a bit messy. Okay, so that's the fans for him, and also for him. And where are they going to? Right, I'm just going to switch cameras because there's nothing for you to see on that camera at the moment. Right, so what do we got? We've got two fans and two RGBs, and they are going. Okay, there's a little twist tie which needs to come off. I'm going to have to recable this as well because it's all over the shop. Alright, so where's that going to? Okay. Now, is that... Alright. Okay, so we've got that sorted. Now we'll get the water block off. Okay. Alright. So I'll switch cams again. Alright, so what do we got? So that's the fan. Okay, so that's the fan header for said water block. Okay, that's a USB. So I'm just going to disconnect him there. Dearie me. That's the best way to do this. I need to trace those cables so I can disconnect them. At least with that off, it's a bit easier. Apologies. I know it's not exactly riveting viewing when you can't really see what's going on. Okay, it's SATA power. Yep. And this fella. Ah, okay, so that came through from there. And what's this? This must be... And I'll have to remember how all these go back together. That's going to be a fun thing to do, isn't it? Okay. Now, let's get this son of a bitch off and have a look what's going on. It's a bit of a mess in here. No judgment, but it is a bit of a mess. Just go one at a time. I'm not going to take them right off with this. I'm just going to wind them back. Didn't feel to be a lot of... Now I did check the temps before this as well, and everything was well within range. Like the CPU was hovering around 39, 40 degrees. So I really don't believe heat is the issue, but it's certainly not happy about something. What I want to do is stabilize it so we can, if it takes a bump, it's not going to have a cry and, you know, lose power or reboot or whatever. Kind of feels like, you know, it may be a short doing that. Okay, so the plastic has been taken off this. You can see. I'll replace the thermal paste as a matter of course because you know it's getting a little bit dry. Where's this dirt come from? Is that from the case? I even kind of think I might need to take the motherboard out and just see if there's any errant standoffs under there. I have seen the case where there's been a standoff in the wrong position, touching the board and shorting it. I mean, that would normally cause it to short and not boot. Everything seems to be fairly what am I saying? Fairly solid. So there is that. But I think we're just going to pull it apart, rebuild it, start again, because it's going to just take far too long otherwise. Disconnect. What's this fella? Fan. Now, yeah, that's no good. So let's just have a look at how these are done. So we try anyway. Okay, these are the two outside ones, so they should be the power LEDs. Which they are, and they were correct. So power switch obviously is in the right place because it's powering on. Yep. And neither of these things are going to, yep, that's a hard drive light. And reset switch. So nothing of them are going to cause that kind of issue, even if the lights, the polarity was reversed, you had negative on positive, all that's going to happen is your light isn't going to work. So that's everything disconnected, I believe. So let's go ahead and take these motherboard screws off. And appear to be the correct kind of motherboard screws. Everything is checking out all right so far. So that's an 1151. I'm just wondering, just going to see if I've got an air cooler that would suit. And I'm going to put it together outside the case, power it up and see what happens. But I'll need the an air cooler to do that. I know I've got an air cooler in there, but is it an 1151? Stay tuned. Why are you not coming? Time is it? 12 o'clock. I think I'll have to have a break for lunch before I finish this because I'm hungry. I'm very hungry, in fact. Alright. Come on, motherboard. Out you come. You dusty little bugger. Alright, so I'll give that a dust off. As you can see here, again, not a huge thing. Some plastic. Nothing there, nothing there. Okay. Nothing looks to be too bad. Now, let's have a look under here at what we're dealing with. So we've got a standoff there and a standoff there, here a standoff, there a standoff, everywhere a standoff. Yeah, no, there's no, doesn't appear to be any rogue standoffs causing a short. It's kind of disappointing when you don't find something obvious, because, you know, obviously that's going to make my job a lot easier. Let me just pop this over here for a mo. So, we're going to buff him over here. Needs a good clean. Let's check out this cooler. What's at the back here? That's a 1700 cooler. That's no good to me. 17. That's an empty box. Come on, you son of a bitch. You've got to have one somewhere. I know I've seen one. Have a little squiz in the cupboard. See what we can find in the cupboard. Nothing that I want in the cupboard. Time to have a look in the garage. Did you like my song? I'll be back. I found, I believe this is a an 1151, but look at it, it's filthy. So I have to give that a bit of a clean. It's only, you know, temporary, so it doesn't have to be spotless. But I've got to get some of that shit off. That's just terrible. That's come off an old machine that I replaced for a client. Alright, well that's passable. Now, is it the right dimensions? Looks like it is, yes. Alright, wonderful. So it's got a bit of paste, that's got a bit of paste, that will do. So what we need is we'll use, hey, steady on, an old case. Alright, so I have to take the mounts for this. It felt a bit loose. So we'll take the water cooling mounting points off, obviously, because we're going to need to use the air cooling. They're reversible, so it's happy days. Alright, so just give it a little dust off while I'm here. Actually, I've got a nicer one that I can use, much softer. And there's a bit of dust coming off there. I must remember I've got my keyboard dingle dongle in there. Right, so backplate, is that stuck on with tape? Sometimes they are. Yeah, of course it is. There we go. Put that to the side with the rest of the bits. Air cooler. Turn it back. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Did 4 go in? He did not. Why 4 UB? There we go. Click. Always make sure you got all 4 clicked in, because you want to get that nice contact. Alright, so we'll have that. I'm going to have to sort of just hang him over the edge, but that's okay. I'm certainly not going to be doing the knock test. That's okay. So now, what have I got? 2 8-pins. Have I got a power supply down here that'll handle that? I guess I'll have to get the power supply out of this machine. Painful as that's going to be. We're doing a full rebuild anyway. Power supply. Fucking pain in the ass. Alright. This is really disorganised. I don't like being this disorganised, but sometimes you can't help it. And there is a, I believe there's a, what do you call it? An M.2 drive on there. Oh, that aircon's nice. Go in. Did a job the other day at a house. We did some data cabling And it was solid concrete, the house, and Besser block. So every wall point that we had to mount was hammer drill. And that was externally, internally. It's a 2-day job. And oh God. All was fine in the end. Why don't you fucking go in? But yeah, what a mission. So you're going to go into that one, aren't you? Oh, what is this? A fucking Rubik's Cube. Just go in. Fucking prick. Well, surely it's not upside down because you can't reach it the other way. Let's double check. Yeah, no, definitely not. Just been an asshole. There we go, finally. And now number 2. Get the fuck in. Why are you being so difficult? Oh, are we in? I'm not a patient man. I've never claimed to be. And you saw it here first. Now, this motherboard does have an allowance for, it's got an 8-pin and a 4-pin. Only using the 8-pin. I mean, that should be enough. But, you know, you don't know sometimes. But, yeah, it should be. All right, so, video. Power. Now, front pins. So I'm just going to short the 2 pins together. It's these ones, isn't it? I believe so. There we go. All right, I'll flick the video signal over. All right, so we're starting. Now, giving it the shake test is going to be a bit different here because the video card is kind of just balancing, so I will just support it. All right. Seems to be, well, it seems to be better than what is in the case. So all I can think of with the case is perhaps there was a loose connection that, you know, wibble and woggle, that was jarring that connection loose. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me in that respect, because it's being quite, you know, wouldn't normally advise this, but given how it's behaving, there's nothing going on there. All right, so all that says to me at the moment is it's time for a rebuild, clean and a rebuild, and then see if the issue persists, and then more plastic, and then we will address the issue of freezing in game. Yes. All right, so we'll shut him down the correct way. Where are you, Mr. Moose? Oh, let's have a look at what it is. It is a 8th gen, so close. So that could be dust in my eye. That could be upgraded to Windows 11 because we also need to do a BIOS update because the BIOS is like 2019. So the BIOS probably isn't set up to allow a Windows 11 installation. So we'll just do an update of that, and that should be happy days. But all in good time. So let's just shut it down for now. Shut down. And then I'll move all this, make myself a bit of room, and I'll clean the case. And I'm going to reposition the radiator for the water cooling to the front of the case, so it's coming across. Because where it was is just a bit awkward. And if you needed to get your RAM out, well, just forget it. It wasn't going to happen. So, all right. Power off. Disconnect. That. Yeah, you come out easy, don't you? Shit. Right, so need to put these in strategic posies. That's that, and now the motherboard. Remembering that I have to, excuse me. Remembering I have to remount that thing, water cooler. You're rightio. How did you get involved? Hey? And you saw that cord got tangled and we didn't do it. Just tangled itself because it's a fucker. Hey. Oof. All right, let's get this up here. So, that's the USB cable from the water block. So hang on to him because he could come in handy. Let's just get to wiping down some of these surfaces. I just use the Pledge Grab It. Why is that back to front? Okay. Did not know that. But yeah, Pledge Grab It. Just get them from supermarkets. It's the anti. It just grabs the dust really, really nicely. So it's really good to clean these things up. So you can get back to looking like you've got a new machine. I will have to. Getting these fans is painful. So we're going to have 2 extra house guests from tomorrow. One of the kids is going overseas. He's going overseas at the end of this month. But in the meantime, this weekend he's going up to a wedding in Port Douglas, and he owns 2 sausage dogs. They were sold to him as miniatures, but they're not miniatures. They're buffers. Will and Wes. So they're coming to stay with us from Thursday, from tomorrow morning through till Sunday. And we'll see how our 3 dogs, sorry, I can't forget the 3rd dog, see how they take to that and how the sleeping arrangements are going to be, what kind of fighting there's going to be. They all get along, they love playing with each other, but they've never spent the night. So my wife's always saying she wants grandkids, but none of the kids are delivering, so we've got grand dogs. Mind you, dogs don't talk back. Dogs don't give you any shit, except in a literal sense. And with 5 of them, there's going to be a lot. How does this come off? Yeah, just going to see how to get this front of the case off. Doesn't look like your standard rip and pop type thing. I don't even know what brand is this. It's Corsair. Okay, there's a tab there. Does that release it? Okay, we've got some movement. What about up here? Well, here we go. We're getting somewhere. What's he doing? Which way though? Which way? There we go. One more. All right, what's been? There we go. All right. So yeah, it's a series of tabs and what I know you can't really see very well from there, but it's a series of tabs that you just got to sort of pry loose. So we'll give that a bit of a wipe out while we've got him. Now there is, okay, that's handy. There's a plug for the lights, which just you can disconnect to make working on the case easier. Mikey still on? Yep. Mike Wazowski. Right, now that I've got it apart, we'll pull all these cables through. We are starting from scratch. So I will just move that. I'll be able to see. I'm just pulling everything through. Let's see if we can get that back. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? When you're doing something like this, sometimes it's just easier to treat it like a new build and just get everything back to how it was when you first started, so you know what's what. That's a fan. What are these? Got a couple of little cable ties to cut off here. Always got to be careful cutting these things, as you can appreciate, because you don't want to cut fan. So if you can get the head and sort of get him and give him a bit of a squeeze, and there we go. I got him off without any breakages. And another one, number 2, I should say. All the way across the office. Dog nut. Sometimes they just don't want to cooperate, so you really got to coax them. There we go. He was having a few second thoughts about it, but I convinced him otherwise. Now we can figure out what the hell's going on where. Okay, so what's that for? Where's that coming from? Oh, where's it going to? So I'll need the power for that. That's all the front panel connectors. It's a USB connector, so he can come back through here. Well, that's actually not a bad angle, is it? Yeah. All right, so that's them. Okay, so what's that? That's audio. Okay, so that's a strange place, but that's for the LEDs, and that goes to there. Okay. Somewhat like a daisy chain. And that is for that fan. So that needs to plug into one of these. Let's try. I think these are all the same. Oh, yep. So clicky him in there. All right. Just like to get myself so I know where I am. Because yeah, you're working on a bunch of different cables. You just want to try and get a feel for what's what, and it doesn't matter if you have to use a lot of cable ties. Yes, when it comes to doing a rebuild like this, you've got stuff to cut off, but I'd much rather have stuff to cut off than an absolute, you know, rat's nest of cables to try and figure out. I'm sorry if you think cable management's boring to watch, but it's one of those things, like it's a necessity. You could just shove them all in there and just think no one's going to see it, and that's true, no one's going to see it. But for me, I know it's there, so I like to try and get it as neat as I can. Makes tracing things easier if you need to. I just realised I haven't got anything in the fridge for lunch. What am I going to do? I suppose I could put the oven on and have a pie, although that'll take... I know, I could do the old microwave and then finish it off in the oven. 1, 2, I don't know what I'm counting that for. Okay, so they're tidied. What be this? This be a fan. And why you be there? Be much better served if you were coming through. So one's an RGB and one's a fan. It'd be far better if you came through there and ran down the back here. Alright, so that's a fan. So he can go in there. Bingo, bango, bongo. I'm going to leave that. That will go back up under, and I'll tidy that up when I use the 12 volt ATX pin. Alright, so that's okay for now. Just float. Actually, I'm going to take these cages out. Even though they're not being used, they're dusty. Bing, bang, bong, bong. No dust. Get my hand in there while I can. If I get the second one out. Okay, so they look better. Click. All right, so flip the bugger over. We're going to put the motherboard back in. Why is he there? So he can go out through there. If I can get all the cables out through the back end and then coming back in, I will, because it's neater, it's nicer. Right, so I'm going to put this in with the air cooler on and then take the air cooler off. Well, that's dodgy as all get out. I don't know if that has any impact. I'm just going to put that there to rest it. Can you see that? See that movement? That's in the NVMe cover. So let's just pull him up and just see, has the right screw been used? Because it's got way too much play for my liking. So it's kind of just sitting flat. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I'm going to put a riser here. So that's the end one. That's where the heatsink is. And we're going to put one there just to support the SSD. And I'm going to screw it in too, because I just think it needs to. Now, is this the right size? It is. Although I could have used one from over here. All right, now I'll take that little screw out. Where'd he go? There he is. So carefully peel it off the cooler. There we go. What have we got? We've got a 970 Evo Plus. I should be taking notes of what was going on here. Okay, so that's how it should sit. And then, come on. No movement. Just want to say that my toolkit with all of me bits and where are you? Where are you? There. Can't see it. That's the screwdriver. And you've got little spudges in here. That's a useless suction cup, but in here you've got the little guitar pick type things. And you've got tweezers and a little extension thing. You've got everything you could really need in this. And it cost me $30 I got it from Umart. For you Australian people, great value because there's so many pieces in there. It's replaced my previous toolkit because you can just clip it up and off you go. It's really good. All right, so let's pop him back in. Now, this is the one that's on there. I don't know, we'll have a look. I don't want it flopping about, so let's just see if we can get it to sit secure. There we go. So it wasn't even done up properly, but now we've got the SSD secured in there properly, and we've got the heatsink sitting on there properly as well. The way it was no good. Too much movement. That could have been the problem all along, because you've got a hard drive that's moving. The connection may have just been the slightest bit dodgy, and just a tiniest little tap, and it's enough for the machine to go, oh, there's no hard drive, and it can't recover from it. We saw it tried to recover from one, but if it's a tenuous connection at best, it seems like a pretty likely culprit to me. And yeah, we may have found that without a full disassembly, but given the fact that we needed to clean as well. Now, are those cables out of the way? I believe so. All right, we lined up with our holes pretty much. Yes. Yep. Central mounting point. Oh, hello, Polly. The little sausage dog just walked in to say hello. The other thing that toolkit has is a magnetizer. Come here. Come here. You want to say hello? Fix your ears up. There we go. So hello. Hello. What's going on? You've been in the sun. Yes, hello. You're all warm. Yes, hello. Hello. Yes, I'm busy. No, it's not dinner time. Hello. Yes, you're being very helpful. Yes, you are. You're being very helpful. Okay. Say goodbye. Yeah. There you go. Good girl. Oh, you're a bit smelly. What have you been doing? I shudder to think. Oh. It's like, I've eaten something rotten, Dad. Now I want to come and give you a kiss. Always be careful if you're using something like this to put your screws in. If you've done it heaps, that's fine. But just don't go gung ho. Just little squirts, and then let it just go. You don't want to over tighten. You don't want to strip. I mean, you can cross thread even with a hand screwdriver, but it is more likely with one of these. However, if you've been doing it a long time, it just saves time. So you heard that little torque arrestor kick in there and just go click click. Always have it on the lowest torque setting if you can. Email. Now, where's that last little screw gone? Hello, Bruno. That's the other dog coming in, Chihuahua. We do have 3 dogs, Celine being the third. She's 17. She does a lot of sleeping. Now, was there, get off. The question is, was there all the screws in there? I didn't actually count them as they came off. There we go. Right, now let's get this cooler off. Okay, unplug the fan and off you come whenever you like. Right, pop you down there to give you a clean later. So let's clean this thermal paste off, put some, there's a lot of shit on there. Alright, that's looking much nicer. So I'll get my Arctic Silver. I'll get that back plate on, because that's fiddly, and get him out of the way. Now that adhesive is sort of long since worn off, but it's not a huge deal because I'm doing it this way. I've got the screws on the other side to do it. Got all that, yep. Yeah, the screw things on the other side which will hold it in place. Now, what are we going to do now? We're going to put some of these cables through. You're going to get out the way. You're a fan. Right, I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to do this and keep recording and just edit. I gotta put something in the oven. All right, pie is in the microwave. Let's go USB 3 header. Can that give me a little bit more light, I wonder? Because I'm just not really. That's a bit better. It's glaring on the camera a little bit, I realise, but try and tilt it away a bit. And hopefully you can too. Click. Always like a click, and it helps me see if I've missed any dust too. Right. So I'll get this fan out the way. We've got some fan headers down here. So we got, what do we got? We've got 1, 2 fan header there. We got any up here? No. Got 2 up there. So 1, 2. Buckle my shoe. And what kind of fans are these bad boys running? Standard fans. going to need to... I'm sure I saw some before. Will you stop tangling yourself on things? I'm sure I saw some like daisy chain type. Okay, so there's... Alright, so what's that got? That we come in the same hole. USB. Ding. Alright. Now the front panel connectors. Everyone's favourite. We all love these little fiddly little bastards, don't we? Right, so they're all in. Happy days. Right, so I'm going to do... Oh, my knee is not like getting up from that position, I can tell you that. Alright, how are we going here? So we're going to tidy a few of these things up. Don't know if I've told any of you, I do 10-pin bowling, like league bowling. That's what that trophy up there is for, if you can see it. Back when I remembered how to bowl. Lately, I feel like I've never bowled before in my life. Inconsistency is just ridiculous. And how do you go from a 242 down to an 86? It's just, I don't know. I'm struggling to figure out why it's such a hard thing all of a sudden. But maybe I'm overthinking it. You know what they say, having a case of the yips or whatever they say. You know, just thinking about it too much, and so I'm just sort of destined to repeat the same mistakes until I just reset or something. I don't know. All I know is it's pissing me the hell off, because I know I can bowl better than that. Anyway, whinge, whinge, whinge. All right, so let's get this water block, this radiator mounted. That's looking all right. Get the radiator mounted, and then we'll put new thermal paste on. I'll just clean the block. So I'm just going to reverse these fans in their position so the cables are on this side rather than this side. Okay, so not too bad. There is a bit of dust. So if we have the fans mounted like that, obviously they're going to be going back that way. But that's really the only logical place to mount it. Because up here, yeah, it just gets in the way of the ram way too much. Yeah. Look, it's not really contributing to the airflow as such, the same as the fans going through there. Because you want to have the fans blowing over the radiator, not pulling away from it. And you can't really mount it the other way with the fans on the front, because it just doesn't let you mount it that way. Oh well, we'll do what we have to do. The only way it's really going to fit in here. Yeah, because that ram is particularly high. You know, it's no wonder I get sinus. Right, that's nice and clean now. Well, certainly cleaner. Alright, I'll be back in a sec. One moment. There we go. Lunch of champions. Meat pie. So if you're not Australian, This is what we eat in Australia. Not all the time, but we do eat it. It's nice. You need to be able to hold it one-handed and eat it. And the idea is not to let any spill. So there is a bit of an art to it, and you don't want to scald your mouth because that meat filling, that can be hot. So it's a skill you learn as you grow up. Scorch on my whiskers. How to eat a pie. And ideally, hold your plate with your little finger, and that way you can do it. But if you're out and about, obviously you don't have a plate. You might have a foil thing or just a paper bag, depending on where you purchased it from. And this is a 4 in 20. This is the classic Australian meat pie, but it's an Australian delicacy. So if you're not from here and you come over here, you've got to have one. It's a rite of passage of coming to Australia. That and getting chased by a kangaroo, because it does happen. We have kangaroos in a lot of suburban neighbourhoods with, what do they call it? Urban sprawl or something, where the suburbs is creeping further and further out. So the kangaroos and what have you are more and more commonly seen in suburban neighbourhoods, but they're not cuddly. And if you ever see one, and he gets up on his tail, get out of the way, because he's going to kick you. And they've got really big claws, and they will, especially the big reds. We don't see the big reds in here. Like, they can be up to 7 foot tall, and they've got a more of a reddish colour fur. But the greys, they'll still kill you or badly injure you. And there's a video getting around a while ago of a guy having a punch on with a kangaroo, and he's punched him in the head. And it's a little bit, probably a little bit cruel. However, the kangaroo did start it, I believe. And if we left no other option, something attacks me, my only option to get away, to give it a quick punch in the head, well, so be it. So the kangaroo's going to start something. Someone's got to finish it. But yeah, just treat them with respect. And the only ones you can really pat are the ones that are in like wildlife, place like Australia Zoo or whatever, that they're roaming around. But make no mistake, they're not like dogs. And same with koalas. You do not want to try and cuddle a koala unless it's a controlled situation, because again, sharp claws, and they are cranky little bastards. And wombats are cute, but again, they'll have a go at you. So basically, just think that everything here is probably going to try and kill you at some point, and you'll be right. All right, lunch done. So, I believe I said I was going to do it that way. Yes, I did. Very satisfying. It's always good to have a pie in the freezer as an emergency lunch. If that hard drive was causing those restarts or power losses, so there's a good chance that could also be responsible for the freezing in game. So I'll have a play of the game that he plays and try not to bugger up his character at all. I basically just run around in whatever game they play, and if someone challenges me, I just run away, because I don't want to upset their stats. If you know what I mean, don't. Pull these through here. Look at that. That sits perfectly. Just a bit tight here on the front, but we'll do what we can. I'll get a couple in to hold it in place anyway. All right, so now it's a case of, put this camera back down a bit. All right, so you can see we've got those 4 points on there. So let's get some thermal paste. All right, so I'm doing this ask about face. So how will they go up like that? Let's have a look. Just wondering. There we go. Do it that way, because you want those things to sort of stay clear of the video card. Things being the cables. All right, so I'm going to get the 2 diagonal opposite ones on first. So that's going to hold it in place for me. Put the others on and then make sure it's sitting nice and straight. That looks pretty straight to me now. So yeah, hand tighten them and then give them a go with the screwdriver thing afterwards, just to make sure they're in there. Nice and tight. Hey. All right. Now, all these painful cables. So what have we got? We've got the 2. We've got a power one. Putting them up over the motherboard down, so we can sort of run that cable hidden. Are they going to reach that thing? No, they are not. So how did that reach last time? Oh, hang on, we might be daisy chaining from the other one again. 2 RGB, 2 RGB. Where are they from? Oh, yeah, okay, yep. It's all right. It's one of those ones that you sort of daisy chain them together with itself and then it runs off of power. Okay, so that's them, ready to be cable managed. And that is the fan. Again, to run from the radiator connectors. All right, like that. This is a bit of a frustrating one. I'll put him through there, and I'll take that, because you've got your fan header as well on that power connector, which is a bit annoying. So we'll feed it all up through there, and then we'll feed it back through here. This is just the fan connector. And we'll find the primary fan. CPU fan is the top one. You get out of the way, you stupid bastard. Not a great design in my opinion, but you know, what do you do? Alright, so I'm going to grab these and pull them pretty tight. We'll get these 2 fan extensions, and we'll find those two fan that we had from the front. There's one, there's two. So now with all them together, all that's left is to connect these two SATA headers. So I'm just trying to figure out how to hold this bastard in place. I can just get that to stay there, you know, and behave itself. Right, now what can we do with these buggers? Just sort of put them together and run them where you can, I would say. Okay, now we're putting the power supply back in. I gave him a bit of a dust off. He wasn't terrible, but he was, you know, he had a little bit of a coating of dust. So I'm going to use the proper screws. Again, not that it's a big deal, but I think using the hex heads, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Just use the right ones. So normally if I'm doing this, like not videoing it, I'd probably get through this a reasonably bit quicker. But I am doing it on different angles that I would normally do it on, so that, you know, it's a little bit slower. So I certainly won't be charging the client for the whole amount of time it's taken, because I know that I'm taking longer because I'm doing a video. Now, let's try and get these buggers through without creating too much of a shitstorm. Alright, so this is the big thickie. Having a day of plugs wanting to be dicks. There we go. He was thinking about not going in, but I managed to convince him otherwise. Now, CPU. Yeah, I'm used to seeing the cases with the shroud, so this not having one, you know, make cable management a bit more of a thing, because, you know, you can't tuck anything away really. Come on. Up and over. There you go. All right, bring him around here. Oh, beautiful. Didn't give me the shits at all. So I'll run that cable down there. Okay, so that's nicely out of the way. How are you going? Oh, I see. Yeah, that should be all right. PCIe, so we're going to push them through there and bring them back. So the cable management on this one is not going to be as pretty as it could be. It's just awkward. And, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure about the radiator at the front there, but this, as I said, it's just too constricting having it on top. Go on, don't be a dick. Thank you. Alright, so that's going to go there. That'll be all right. What am I going to do with you? See, I've got this big flopper. What's I supposed to do with him? And there's just really not a lot that can be done. I can just sort of tie it off a little bit, I suppose, and just try and keep it out of the way. Another bag of cable ties. A little bit in there because there's no 3.5-inch drive, so I should be able to feed them in there to a certain extent, and they won't be really visible from the other end. Just get up out the bloody way. Jeebus. Alright. I've seen worse. I've seen better, but I've seen worse. Alright, let's get this big boy video card in. Busted a nail. Ouch. Get that off before it catches and tears the skin. Ow, how did I do that? Quite a bit of dust in this. Oof. Okay, so put this in. There we go. Click. Alright. 2 of the mounty things. I'm going to leave the case off for the initial power on to now, let's see if I can get these in without them being absolute bollocking like last time. Alright, the first one was relatively easy. Well, why didn't you do that before? Hey, why'd you have to be a shit face? Alright. We are reconstructed. Alright, so which is the power button? There it is. Alright, come over, flick that camera screen over. We'll put it so you can see it, and we'll go back to full screen. Okay, and input HDMI, power, there it is. Things are spinning and we go. So we got boot, happy days. Always want to have boot. Pretty sure I got myself in the camera. Okay, now first test. Don't touch the power button, that'd be silly. Alright. Alright, so that's happy now. So I'm convinced that that loose hard drive is what caused that sudden loss of power, as you saw. Yeah, I could have just taken it off here. If that had been, like if I'd checked that first off, I would have noticed it. But given that it was quite dirty anyway and the cable management was a bit of a mess, I thought, look, I'll just take it apart. So in the end, it could have been like a 10-minute fix, but I wanted to do a clean as well. So always check your things are seated properly. If something's wobbling, it's not right. Let me turn that light off. It's right in my eyes. Postie, oh, mail. Yeah, if it's wobbling, it's not right. So secure it and just double check everything's in, because that quite clearly the hard drive, it just wasn't the NVMe, it just wasn't sitting in correctly, and that's going to be a problem every day of the week. So I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'm probably going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go on and test the gaming and see if that's resolved. But I suspect that was the root cause of everything. If anything else, maybe Windows needs a bit of a freshen up, but I'll touch base with the client, see if he wants me to install Windows 11. And then that will rewrite a lot of the system files and we should be good. So yeah, I hope this has been of some value to you, and I didn't bore you too much. I hope you like meeting Polly, and yeah, we'll see what happens next time, what we're going to do. I think I've got a machine coming in that needs the whole, it's a laptop, needs the whole keyboard top section, so that will mean a full motherboard and everything removal to swap this new part in. What I classify as a bit of a pain in the ass job, but necessary. So I've got the part sitting over there, and I believe the client's dropping that off tomorrow sometime. So I might shoot it over the weekend or something, and that'll be a primarily top-down shot, I would imagine. But anyway, that'll do us for now. I'm going to go have a drink, see if I can restore my voice, and hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you next time. So thanks for watching. See ya.